I am all caught up with Solo Leveling, which I'm definitely late to the party on that one. But I did see season 1, season 2, and of course, can't wait for season 3. And Solo Leveling, honestly, the whole concept and the mythology of this world where it's kind of like a isekai. Well, in many ways, it's somewhat of an isekai or isekai adjacent anime, but basically still connected to the real world. It's not the usual isekai where our main character is transferred to this magical world or, into this other world, and they're completely disconnected from the real world. Like Solo Leveling, I really enjoyed how they kept the real world, or technically they're both real worlds, but they keep the our world still connected in a way with the fantasy world. And I really liked how they showed that, how they have the different guilds, and how basically they take all these classic RPG elements that we know of from whether it's from MMORPGs or from Dungeons and Dragons or other tabletops, Final Fantasy, etc., and basically implement them in a way that makes sense in this anime if it was put into our modern day, right? So you have modern day Korea, and basically there's guilds in the real world that facilitate these expeditions into let's call it the fantasy world, right? And they have to close these gates because these gates just randomly appear in the real world, that they build up to a certain point where they open up and then allow all these creatures to come in, right, and attack the real world. And so all these guilds have been built in present day and throughout Korea, and I believe it's a worldwide thing. So there's even Japan has their own guilds, and like I don't know if the US does, I don't remember, but there's more than just, there's several countries that have their own guilds and everything to basically take care of these gates. So we have these guilds that send these warriors, basically, some of them are mages, some of them are warriors, tanks, etc. And so they send them through these gates to basically defeat the boss of this, I guess, area that will allow them to then close the gate and stop an invasion from happening. And so that whole mythology of Solo Leveling and the way they took the isekai genre, but then spin it on its head and then kind of took the time to think, okay, if this was a real scenario, what would the real world, like our world, how would they handle this? And in a way that fits into like our modern day with our technology and resources and all that stuff. And so it's really cool how you see all these guilds and also the publicity that they're doing and this kind of, not Cold War, but competition. There's this competition between guilds and social media and trying to get clout and all this stuff. And so all that goes into these RPG elements. And so there's a really cool blend of, again, the traditional RPG elements of guilds, magic, the different classes, warrior, sorcerers, etc., rangers or archers, etc. And then our modern day of like social media and influencers, and the guilds in some ways could be seen as like these social media groups that have been built out, where like you have the streamers and like they all have their own like groups. I don't know their names because I don't follow a lot of them, but basically they have different like organizations that they build out to get representation. So I just thought that was really cool. And aside from that, you have the main character and his story, and man, that's another strong lead. Like Jinwoo is so badass, and this is another anime that I think also is about resilience and also, for lack of a better term, not giving up, which you could say partially resilience. But Jinwoo is a character that, for those who haven't watched out, I won't get into too much detail, but basically it's a underdog story in many ways, or starts that way at least, and then he basically starts from the bottom and then he's here. That character, the way the show starts and where he was to where he ends up at the end of the show, that character development was done perfectly. I think they did such a great job of building that character from the ground up, and in many ways it's inspirational, but also there is this mystery, and I won't get into it here, but there is this mystery with how Jinwoo does level up, no pun intended, and get to where he is. And it seems like there's these forces behind that are not all that good. Now, we're not super clear on it, but for now, in terms of what we've gotten in the anime, it seems like there's a reason why Jinwoo is getting stronger and basically he's OP and his power is unlimited, essentially. So, quick like summary of the show, apart from the lore of the world and everything that I just mentioned. So what happens in the series is, and in some ways it has some similarities to Kaiju number 8 in terms of the leveling up for the characters or their potential or their ability. Not to get into a tangent to comparing them, but basically in this show, you know, you have all the RPG elements, modern world, isekai, adjacent plot. Not everybody in this world has abilities. Like, not everybody can use magic or has super strength or whatever it is, right? So there are some people that are just all of a sudden they're like, let's just call it potential. I forget what they call it in the anime, but they have this, some people have a hidden potential of abilities. And kind of like superheroes, I guess, in some ways, or mutants in a way, like X-Men. Like, all of a sudden one day, you know, they just all of a sudden have like an awakening, and all of a sudden some people can use magic. Other people can just are really fast, or some people just have superhuman strength or whatever. And then these people then like these guilds, they're scouting. Literally, they're agencies. They're essentially like talent agencies in many ways. And so these people with these hidden abilities, they do get examined and tested to see what rank they are. Just like RPGs, you know, there's different levels and different ranks in a guild and stuff like that. You have people all the way from, I think S rank is like the premium, like it's very, very rare to be S rank. But there's like, I think at the when the show starts, there's like maybe 10 S rank, let's just say warriors or people, right, with abilities. And then everything else, it goes all the way from A all the way down to, I think, E, if I'm not mistaken. I think E is the weakest. And then after that, I mean, it's like basically you just don't have abilities, and that's besides the point. But Jinwoo starts as, I think, the lowest level, the E rank. And things happen in the show. He gets this secret ability. Difference from Jinwoo, or the special thing of Jinwoo, is that he could keep leveling up, right? So essentially, while everybody else has their rank, and that's their rank, they can't level up. If you turn out to be an A rank, you're going to be an A rank for the rest of your life. So that means you're only going to be as strong as an A rank can be, and your abilities there's a cap. You can't go stronger or more agile or whatever than that, or a B rank, C, etc. Everybody's stuck in their rank. But Jinwoo, our main character, is not, and that is the caveat there. And again, there is a mystery going on that I'm hoping in season 3 we get a little bit more, and I think we will, because at the end of season 2 we actually get a little glimpse at some new characters. Who are they? We don't know, but there's some things that happen in the show that are morally gray from Jinwoo. And so, yeah, things are, I think the show's not gonna, things for Jinwoo and his friends might not end great. I think the show might take a turn for the worst, because right now Jinwoo's in a really good place and he's super badass and everything. But I think his ability to keep leveling up and have unlimited power is gonna come at a huge cost for him, and potentially it's going to affect those around him. And there's some things that Jinwoo does in the series that, again, are morally questionable. And he's not a villain, but I'd call him an anti-hero. I think most of the time he's a hero, and he makes a lot of decisions that are benevolent and like very human and all that. But sometimes he does make decisions that are cold and calculated. And those are the moments that I'm like, like, that's interesting. That doesn't seem like the Jinwoo we met in the beginning of the series or earlier on. And to be fair, I mean, the decisions that he makes aren't necessarily made in a malicious way, or let me backtrack. They're basically like the ends justify the means, basically. But there was a couple of times, I think, in the series where was intimidated by the character, and I was worried he was gonna do something to another character. And then there was another time that he actually did something to a character, and I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, honestly, I love seeing character arcs where we have a good character that either goes completely evil or morally gray and all that. I like those types of characters, you know. So whether it's Kira or Light in Death Note or Walter White from Breaking Bad, you know, I like those characters, but we're still not there with Jinwoo. It's just that there's some things that happen in the show that, yeah, it intrigued me, but yeah, I'm just curious where the show's gonna move on from there. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Pop Pulse and you'd like to stay up to date on the latest news on anime, gaming, and comic book, TV, and movie adaptations, sign up for a free and easy to read newsletter, Pop Pulse Digest. And to watch more, check out this next video.